keep finding ways that we're helping partners finding either, balance in their life or focus or purpose.
Practices that are going to help improve your project management skills or your finances.
We're here to talk about setting long-term goals and then how to achieve them.
Increasing your quality, therefore becoming the best place in town to work. I am hella fresh on Tuesdays. Welcome to Academy Live.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Academy Live. Rex, Chris, and I were off last week because we were attending Beyond. This was the second year PAX 8 hosted this event. It was held June 9th through 11th at the Gaylord of the Rockies in Denver, Colorado. So some of you may be wondering, what is Beyond? I'll tell you and show you in this little sizzle reel. So Beyond 2024 was the channel's first or favorite partner event. We had over 2,000 attendees this year, and we got to master cybersecurity, learn how to grow your business, and elevate your capabilities over 3 days of groundbreaking sessions with leading industry speakers, MSPs, and vendors. Some of those are even presented by our very own Academy members, which we'll talk all about today. It was so great to be in person and see this wonderful community come together. I can't wait for next year already. Everyone mark your calendars for 2025. I heard it's almost sold out or 50% sold out already, so definitely take a look at that. Rex, Chris, and I wanted to spend today talking about it. There is just so much time and effort that goes into a big event like this. So we thought it would be fitting to give you a recap. So that's what our show is going to be all about today. And don't worry, we have a lot more videos to show you today, and I can't wait to get into it. But first, we're going to hear from Rex with another installment of What's on Rex's Shelf. Let's take a look.
What's that stuff behind his head? Frame photos and books he's read. Each one's got a story to tell, so let's educate ourselves on Rex's Shelf.
So, what's on Rex's Shelf today? I'm going to talk a little bit about conference badges. So, this is my badge from Beyond 24, but I always end the show with think about what are you going to do differently tomorrow. And that was, really came about because of what Oli, the guy I worked for 19 years, used to say to me every time I came back from a conference, which is, what are you going to do differently tomorrow because I sent you that conference? And I used to stress about that. So what's on my shelf? It's not always in the shot, but this is like the last 10 years of conference badges. And when I look at this, the reason I keep it handy is what I remember is this is a lot of opportunities. Every one of these represents an opportunity that I had at a conference, usually speaking on stage, to create an opportunity for somebody to use something I said as what they're going to do differently tomorrow. And that's quite a stack. So, whoa, drop it. All right, it's gone. Anyway, that's what's on Rex's shelf. So I'd like to bring on the rest of my crew.
Awesome. Thanks, Rex. I want to know, what were your highlights from Beyond? Tell us a little bit about your experience.
I think, in addition to the new marketplace being announced, which is just incredible, I'm not going to bore you with that because there is so much content going to be coming at all of our partners. But the results selling framework, Academy was talked about in the main stage presentations. I think I counted 5 times, right? Like representing Academy. And then that one slide on the results selling framework that we have literally spent the last 18 months working on. It was sort of the big reveal. I think there was 3 or 4 sales related sessions, and Keith had one specifically on the results selling framework. And the adoption. I'm starting to get the numbers of the partners logging in and using the free on-demand content and signing up for the instructor-led courses. So I'm just excited that partners are embracing. We need to really figure out how we're going to mature the way that we talk to our customers about our products and services. So, Chris, what do you think?
Well, I think what you said, like this culmination of all this work over the last year and kind of finally kind of this pent up, energy and kind of like being able to kind of release and announce and really kind of go live, if you will, with it. Just all the work that we've been doing, I think was tremendous to kind of, so to speak, release it. The second thing for me that was really most important was the community. Just watching people interact, hearing the conversations, even just lunch, hallway conversations, either walking by or participating in it, the hugs, the high fives, the handshakes, the camaraderie, the sharing, the catching up with people. Just the sense of community there was really powerful to me. So as well as obviously all the learning and the sessions that people give a lot of great feedback about. Bessie, how about you?
Yeah, so Beyond's three pillars were community, which Chris just touched on, innovation and education, which Rex was talking about too. And I think really you could tell, even if you didn't know those were the three things, I think you could walk away knowing that they were, because we talked about them so much, and it was really cool to see it in action. I loved just hearing partners. We're going to, talk about some of those different topics today, but cybersecurity, AI were main topics. We learned all about the new marketplace. There's just a lot going on and so many people to get to know. So I loved hearing all about it. But let's dive into that first topic around cybersecurity. We have a little sizzle reel, so let's check it out.
I think a lot of people are focused on physical threats, but a lot of the digital threats that are coming are going to be much more advanced, especially with AGI getting into the hands of some of the people that are, let's say, with nefarious intentions. But it's something that we're staying on the forefront of to ensure that we make sure that all the MSPs stay compliant as well.
The key part of cybersecurity is coming up with the single pane of glass. It has to be manageable, and if you're looking at multiple consoles, multiple tools, becomes pretty daunting. So single pane of glass for us is really critical.
I think it's certainly being part of that rising tide of awareness is a critical piece. So, the ecosystem that Pax8 represents and brings to the table, I think is critical for MSPs and for the SMBs to really kind of not just understand from an awareness level, but then have access to the solutions to facilitate change.
I'm really pleased that Microsoft has given us kind of the opportunity to have a more closed ecosystem for customer data, including our own data. The thought of employees and whoever just kind of sticking company information out into ChatGPT and kind of letting it run around is really terrifying. So it's been really good to have an option where we can at least get our arms around kind of some of the security aspects of it.
Just even meeting some of the other cybersecurity companies here, the vendors, the partners as well, we only see this as a way to strengthen our offering together and not against each other.
Originally we only had four content tracks, one for the owner, service manager, sales, and engineer. And it was just like a aha moment. It's like, we need a security track. And so it was awesome to see so many of our partners just take advantage of the security track. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah. I was thinking of the term dolphin speak, all the techno babble, but that kind of joking aside, I think talking to partners about afterwards, it's not just cybersecurity's been an issue for a while, but I think now it's kind of evolved into conversations about not just the tools, the technology, the threats, but the impact. What's the risk? What are the liabilities? What are the next steps? So I think the conversation is evolving as the issue is evolving and kind of growing and becoming a bigger part of the entire, service provider business overall. And Bessie, I know we've talked just about responding to some of those conversations through instructor-led courses. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts.
Oh, yeah. I mean, instructor-led courses in our security category is something that we're really going to be expanding on over the next 6, 12 months, because there's such a need for it from a technical aspect, email security, endpoint security, MDM, but also making sure tabletop exercises are in place. How do you do a risk assessment? So a lot more coming that way, but really excited about it. And I know our partners are hungry for all this information around cybersecurity. That last partner was talking about ChatGPT, which leads me to our next hot topic, was all around AI. So let's take a look at that video.
Looks like AI is the future. I'm looking forward to it and excited.
It's going to streamline things, automate a lot of things.
The AI stuff was really exciting. Part of the great value that Pax8 brings, I think, to my business is just helping plan for the future.
It's growing and making everyone a little bit smarter and let us focus more on the meaningful task and partnership that we can provide to the businesses that we're supporting.
AI has actually changed our whole business. We've focused very heavily on Copilot specifically. We do training on Copilot for our clients. We use it internally for all of the things that we do in our Teams meetings to summarize, in our email to capture that, and actually in creating some of our documentation as well.
We've been one of the largest consumers of Copilot from Microsoft in the marketplace, so we've been using it since November, which has been great. And for us, we have about 100 users leveraging that within the company. So we're using it just in our basic day-to-day productivity with Outlook, with Teams, everything like that. It's been really helpful.
Already we've seen in the first couple of years, like huge leaps and bounds in the way machine learning and generative AI has gone, and it's just going to get crazier and crazier. We'll be looking back, and even a year from now, going, wow, that was like nothing compared to what we have now.
As you could see, AI was a hot topic. That was just even partners' reactions, but it was talked about on the main stage. It was talked about in breakout sessions. Everyone couldn't stop talking about AI, and I know it's infiltrating our personal lives, our professional lives. It's everywhere, but I know there were quite a few partners in that video, Chris, that are part of Academy. Can you just share?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to pass over to you to talk about the Academy sessions and what Academy was up to at Beyond.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to see. So many of those partners on that last little video segment are very active in Academy. Peer group members, people that have been involved in the instructor-led courses, coaching, on-demand, et cetera. So I'd love to kind of see and hear their voice in our communities. I love that Academy really helped drive a lot of the content, and that I think we presented, roughly around 15 of the sessions at Academy, or at Pax8 Beyond, were really Academy led, and we had facilitators, we had coaches, people presenting, and I love the variety of topics and the depth. Stephanie kind of leading on the 6 common operational mistakes, which is just a phenomenal presentation. A lot, like Rex had kind of commented about result selling framework, and there was releasing information around that, asking better questions to generate more business. Just there is so much demand there and so many challenges around that. I'm really pleased that Academy represented a good number of courses really focusing on sales and marketing, for our partners, as well as just other operational things, talking about finance, understanding EBITDA. These topics are so important, for our partners and for them to grow and be successful. We talk a lot on this show. There's a common theme where we talk about strategic planning, working on the business, not in the business. Rex always asks a great question at the show, what are you going to do differently? That takes some planning, some thought, some effort. It takes some getting off of the treadmill and being reactive and putting focus, time, and effort into where are we going in our businesses? What's going to help us get to where we want to be? How are we serving our clients? What are we doing? And we really have to be strategic in our planning. So there was big sessions around strategic planning for your business, which I think is a great topic for a lot of our partners. So I'd love to kind of stop and pause. We've got another reel to show, and I'd love to kind of share that with you. If we could pull that up next.
I just saw Elevate Your Client IQ, how to rank your clients effectively. It was nice to see criteria that we can use, kind of help and assist with that. So it was very beneficial from that perspective.
I enjoyed watching this seminar and learning more about how to rate our clients and determine which clients would be advantageous to keep and spend more time on, and which clients we may want to move along from.
The session we were in, this was the one about managers and best way to manage people and conflict resolution. I think the best takeaway for me is how as a manager to stay and keep your cool and yet keep your individuals in their lanes. That drama triangle that he was talking about, right? I have that a lot where so-and-so said something, the game of telephone kind of goes down the line, and all of a sudden you as a manager, you're like, wait, this was actually a simple password change. So when you can cut that off and see that the real problem is just a spilt milk, it's pretty nice.
The things that I take away from all these sessions are just the content, right? Talking to industry experts that bring experience and knowledge and provide that on a very basic level, and really gives us as MSP owners and employees just the knowledge to take back to our own companies and implement and really help us to succeed.
PaxAid Academy helps my business. It helps me see a bigger picture. It gets me stronger in some areas, and then now it's time to focus on other ones. So that's what I come to this.
I love hearing the partner experience and kind of their reaction to these things. It was really energizing to talk to people in the hall, and I love Bessie and the PaxAid Studios getting some of that feedback. It was just really validating and energizing, honestly. But we weren't done there, Rex. Right after Beyond, we had peer group meetings. We had over 100 partners there participating in their accountability meetings for peer groups. You were there and you got to speak with all the groups. So I'd love to hear a quick, what was your reaction on that experience?
It's awesome to watch the peer groups, kind of each of them individually maturing their businesses in their own way. I had an opportunity to go into each group and get kind of vulnerable about my own personal journey around kind of becoming familiar with the financial metrics, because we're going to be rolling out more financial accountability into the PaxAid Academy peer groups. And I knew that when we started asking them, there's going to be a lot of questions, a lot of fear around sharing their financial metrics, and just the accountability, the vulnerability of having somebody ask you questions about your financial metrics. So I went into the groups and spent about a half hour with each group talking about that and trying to bring down the fear level a little bit. And I think it was pretty successful, kind of watching the groups kind of open their minds a little bit. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that, Chris.
Loved having you. You added a lot to those meetings, and the partners are very happy to have that interaction. But Rex, I kind of want to turn it to you, because one of the things I got a lot of really good feedback from partners on was your session on leadership. Would you mind talking a little bit about that?
I would love to, actually. But I'm going to start by showing the sizzle reel that Studios put together, and then I'll give a little synopsis of what I talked about.
We're about to hear from Rex Frank. He's going to be talking about a template for strong leadership. One hand up, one hand down. Let's check it out.
Lead, follow, or get out of the way. I hate that saying, right? How about one hand up, meaning you're always learning from someone or being led by someone. At the same time, you have one hand down, right? Meaning you're always teaching someone or providing leadership to someone and integrating that into the way that you work.
I actually think Rex put it perfect. It's a hand up, hand down. I also love that he talked about the fact that teaching is almost a second coming of learning. And a lot of times it's hard to even understand if you really know a topic until you're teaching it.
A good leader is somebody who's always willing to give a hand up and a hand down. As Rex just talked about in his session, it was really valuable to him because we're just a little stronger together.
I do appreciate everyone that chose to come here. Thank you very much.
I had a lot of fun doing that one hand down presentation. actually Todd Shorley at Beyond 23, because that's something I talked about, was the one hand up, one hand down. It's just sort of something I came up with on my own. But Todd Shorley took it and turned it into the presentation last year, and he used a lot of his personal journey with leadership, a lot using mentors, using coaches. And this year, Todd had other sessions he was doing, so I got asked to deliver it, and I was a little worried, like doing somebody else's session, but especially since it was so heavily personal stories driven. But I took it to task. I re-engineered it with my own stories with the same kind of theme, which was, where in your own leadership journey have you had one hand up where you're learning from somebody else how to be a better leader, and then applying that to when in my own journey, my own career, asking you guys to think about, how do you have a hand down providing leadership or providing education on somebody else's leadership journey, which was a lot of fun for me to talk about. One of the things I talked about was Oli, who again hired me when I was 18 years old. Gave me a lot of opportunities to grow as a leader, and he had his hand down, but at the time I didn't even honestly realize that I had a hand up. One of the stories I talked about, and I kind of wish I had this prop with me while I was on stage, is a map. He sent me to the Management Action Program, and I don't know how much I've talked about that on the show, but literally, we spent a couple of days, like a day and a half, practicing this routine of use the intelligence in the room to make a decision. So they'd put us up at the head of the table. We'd have this piece of paper, and we'd have to read some sort of a problem. And you go around this table. There's like 12 people at the table, and you try to solicit their best ideas on how to solve the problem. And everybody gets their 15 to 30 seconds to give you an idea. And when it comes back to you, you use everything you just heard and lay out a plan. This is going to be my plan on how we're going to solve this problem. And then the idea is having a plan and going is better than sort of that paralysis of analysis and never really making a decision. And so we practiced this for a day and a half. And then what I did not know is they surveyed a bunch of my coworkers and a couple of the clients that I worked with, basically on my strengths and weaknesses. And they handed me this piece of paper that had my weaknesses laid out on it. And it's in this book. I don't know if you can read that sticky note, but I've had this on my shelf ever since. But it's Rex, I thought this would interest you over 2 years later, right? It's a note from Oli, but it lays out my problem. And, right, I had to stand in the front of the page there and talk about that I'm defensive, right? And all I wanted to do was say why they're wrong, right? But how I went around the table and I got this feedback on how to not be defensive. And one of them, the things I heard I still use today is to verbalize and say, hey, I'm going to take my defensive hat off right now. And a lot of people on my team over the years have heard me say that. And it's a cue to them to let them know that maybe I'm struggling here a little bit. But more importantly, it's a cue for me to kind of reset myself in the conversation and not be defensive. But I told a lot of the stories about how, Oli invested in me to build my leadership skills, right? He sent me to an E-Myth workshop with Michael Gerber. And I remember setting this goal to hit $18,000 in MRR a month. And looking back on it now, just a few years after that workshop, we're closing deals worth $18,000 a month. But it seemed like such a BHAG at the time. But those are the opportunities he gave me. And I'm hoping that you're taking those same opportunities to invest in your teams, where somebody having a hand up and somebody having a hand down. And then I spent a lot of time talking about how, Oli and my peer group facilitator were big mentors in my life, how my grandpa Rex was a mentor in my life, and talked about where do you find mentors, right? We talked about, this industry is full of mentors. You can just look around the trade show floors, industry experts, paid coaches, peer groups. There's just all these places to find them. But the thing is like we're kind of afraid to ask somebody to be our mentor. But if they realize that you're going to do something after talking with them, they are more than happy to give your time. So reach out, find your mentors, have a hand up, have a hand down. And it was just a ton of fun doing that session. So if you didn't have a chance, I'm sure we'll do it again next year at Beyond 25. So hope to see you there. I'm going to toss it out, over to Bessie to talk about some experiences that she had.
Yeah, thanks so much, Rex. I know that the one hand up, one hand down is really, a lot of people really love learning about that. And there were some of those themes actually in the Women in Tech panel. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that segment today. This was happening on Sunday. It was the very first day of the conference. This is the first event that I even attended as part of Beyond for 2024. It was just such a great experience. Last year, we had a Women in Tech networking event, and that was the first of its kind. Everyone was very energized. This year, we did a panel, and there were so many good nuggets from that panel. We got to hear from 3 amazing women leaders in our tech community, and Caroline Goals, our CMO, our Chief Marketing Officer, was there as well, that was running the panel, and she was really asking great questions and having some amazing interaction. I was just trying to share a few of the tidbits that I remember from learning from the panel. One is really that emphasis on leaning in. Women, especially in a male-dominated workplace, tend to lean back, tend to, silence or not be as active participants in the conversation. So really that recommendation to lean in, ask a question if you have a question, volunteer if you have an idea, any of those types of things. So I thought that was awesome messaging. There's also a lot of conversation around how do we get more women in the tech space or working at MSPs, and conversations around how can we even get from much younger, where does it start? Is it from all the way from grade school? Is it when they're entering the workforce? Just how can we get more women involved, and how can we get more diverse voices and perspectives as part of our companies and our community? That way we can grow stronger and we can really learn from one another. There was at the end, I think what we'll probably see in this sizzle reel, but there was a award that was given to the female CEO that was on the panel. She was awesome. She gave lots of great insights, and it was amazing to see her get that award. So those are just a few tidbits, and I just had a great time getting to know the different women in the room and different allies that were there as well to learn about how they can support women in the workplace. So let's take a look at that video.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you. This is phenomenal. I have always been excited by Pax8's thought leadership, and especially when it comes to women in technology. I believe that it's critical that we hear not only women, but just all sorts of different voices in technology. Diversity is really what brings growth and change and strength to our organization, and really the technology industry as a whole.
The networking, building relationships, and having people like meet. Is there any way I can help you? Because if I can help you, I want to do that. And that is the biggest value of the channel and the industry, is that we all want each other to succeed. It's not just about how I do, it's about how we all do together.
I'm going to get started. We have a short time with these amazing leaders. I'm going to moderate a few questions, but we're going to also kick it up to the audience.
The amount of people that are here is actually what stood out to me, and it shows that the women in this space are going nowhere, that we're stronger, that more of us are here. That was the coolest thing, just to look around and say, there are a bunch of me's around. And that's something I didn't really know really existed until I came to a space like this.
I think for me, one of the hardest pieces was negotiating for myself and taking on new roles as a woman. I always come in with notes of affirmation on the desk or on my phone in front of me. So if I'm having a difficult conversation, I have those things to reference.
I find it's really helpful to be with people who face the same type of challenges that you face, and you can just be yourself with, and you can just be open, and you can be honest, and you can get the support and help that you need.
I've been very fortunate in this industry to have some wonderful men and women be my allies all throughout my journey. I think panels like this are hugely important to continue to carry that message throughout the organization and the industry.
I I think that video really highlights the community aspect and how we all got to know one another and hear from our amazing panelists. Nyla, who is one of our speakers on that video, is a Phoenix member. So she's part of our Flight Plan to 1 Million group for owners who are solopreneurs or, hopefully can be larger companies soon as they build their companies together. I had a chance to sit in with the Phoenix groups after Beyond, and she was one of 2 women CEOs of their MSPs that were in the room out of 24. So I hope this inspires more women to start MSPs and to grow their businesses, because there's opportunities and there's definitely support available for you as you are growing. So really want to thank everyone that participated in that panel. Next, we're going to be moving on to sales pitch with Keith Marciano. He's going to be talking about results selling framework and his experiences at Beyond. So let's take a look.
Play ball!
Last week, I got to speak on stage at PAX 8 Beyond, our second industry event. The energy was off the charts, and I got to chat with many partners. The thing I told every partner I met is to review what you're learning this week and determine what area in your business needs the most improvement. And when you get on the plane, start writing things down and come up with a game plan in action. The topic I had the most fun with was a session I did called Asking More Questions to Sell Better, Results Selling Framework. This certainly was a thrill because I'd spent pretty much the last year working on this content to bring this to the partner community. Today, I want to highlight my Results Selling Framework session. As a baseball player, I was an outfielder. It required a lot of skill to pick that ball off the bat in order to take the right path to be able to catch it or at least field it cleanly. If my pitcher was doing well, it could get kind of boring standing out there, kind of waiting for something to happen. I still had to be ready in case the ball came flying my way. Where does that tie into the results selling framework? Well, today, our prospects are waiting for an IT partner to come in and not be boring. We come in talking about how great our people are, how great our solutions are, how great our support is, how great our tool stack is. It's the same thing they hear all the time. People don't buy what we sell, they buy for their own reasons. What problems is it solving? What opportunity is it creating for them? So we're going to touch all the bases around results selling framework and how to be better at asking questions. 1, think like the buyer. Ask questions. Listen. Take good notes. Connect with the person you're meeting with. Find out what they truly care about. 2, dig deeper. When a prospect shares a problem, dig deeper to gain clarity around what the problem is and how that problem is impacting their company, what the ramifications are if they don't do anything about it. Do not just jump in with your Superman cape and tell the prospect how you can solve that problem. Seek to find out more. 3, determine what their decision criteria is. What problems are most important to them? What is required to make the change happen? What is their timeline to achieve this? What is their budget to solve that problem? And then finally, who in the organization besides themselves is going to decide if this change happens or not? 4, be ready to articulate your value and differentiation. How do you differ from the competition? How have you solved that problem before? How you are the subject matter expert and tell stories on how you've helped others in their industry get results. Getting results and winning more business is what every IT service provider wants. Connect with me on LinkedIn if you have any questions about this topic, want to learn more. Definitely go to PAX 8 Academy and search for Results Selling Framework. There's a free on-demand course wrapped around this to give you a little bit of an overview. I also do instructor-led courses, peer groups, and one-on-one sales coaching. So don't be boring. Be curious and have better business conversations so you can win more business.
Play ball!
Well, thank you so much, Keith, for an amazing sales pitch. I know I was in the room when he gave his presentation at Beyond, and you would not know that it was the last session of the day. You really would not. Usually, people are getting tired. They're trying to go to the bar. And he was there. He brought the energy. He had a pump up song. Everyone was excited. We'd heard about Result Selling Framework from the main stage. So there was just a ton of interest. And you could see from that video, people were excited to have this opportunity.
All of the sales release sessions were just jam packed, and it sure made me feel good to see that happening.
Yeah, especially sales enablement is something that we have been focusing a lot at Academy. If you've been tuning into our other episodes, you've heard us talk about it before. There's just a lot of interest. We know this is a big opportunity for our partners to improve in their sales skills so that they can succeed and they can grow their businesses. And we want to be there to help them do that. So it was great.
Talking about tools, technology. I have the best people. Stop it.
Exactly. Ask better questions, right? Find out more about your clients and your prospects so that you can get to really know them and know what their needs are, so that you can best help them. Well, our next segment today is going to be all about our international presence at Beyond. There were so many partners from all over the world. So we've got a quick little video from the international meetup. So let's take a look at that.
Absolutely pumped. It's going to be a great day. I'm actually really excited about the keynote, but it's the networking. I'm really pumped for the networking. I just like to see everyone attended. I don't get to all the same.
I think just to be able to see and collaborate with a bunch of experts in their field and see what everyone's local region has to offer and see the mix that we've got here, the transition away from traditional MSP to what could be the new play. I think it's cool.
The key is build up those relationships with people so that when you run into problems or opportunities, then you've got somebody to go to and say, right, how do you think we can sort this out? What can we do to benefit our customers?
This community, it's something that has kind of come together over years that has made me feel really included in the industry. And without it, it wouldn't have helped me get to the level that we're at right now.
Yeah, so my main goal was to meet up with some people I only met via Teams or video calls. And we already accomplished that. I mean, it's been great. And I'm totally looking forward to connect with many more people and to see some sessions. I mean, the plan looks very interesting.
Collaboration is important. In Australia, we live in a little bubble and we're not really exposed to other people in the market unless you are in that mindset of collaborating. So I think it's a good idea to get everyone out and see what ideas we can transfer and see how we can get a better outcome for the end customers, which is, economic value to the region.
I've been running my business for 10 years and I think for 6 or 7 of them I ran it in a vacuum and didn't have a network or industry peers, and I've learned an unbelievable amount. And so for me, Pax8's, giving me the opportunity to come here is huge because I see how much value I can learn from a more global lens.
I believe we had over 100 partners from APAC come down. We have over 100 partners from, actually, I guess APAC came up. Over 100 partners from EMEA coming over. And I know there was well over 100 partners from Canada coming down. So, it was awesome. I don't know if you guys noticed those white jackets. The entire APAC partner base and the APAC Pax8ers were all wearing those white APAC jackets so you could see who they were. It was pretty awesome.
I love the way that stuck out, and I think with me it was the kits, the jerseys, and it was great to see names on the back and numbers, like the soccer or football players. It was
Yeah,
just kind of neat
the
that
EMEA crew
unity.
bringing that soccer.
Absolutely, yeah. They'd say the real football. I'm not going to start a controversy here, but I think that it was just really neat to see them kind of all united that way, and kind of it stuck out. It was a great visual effect too, and I think it sparked a lot of conversations. It kind of just drew that, and I love the impact that it had. Bessie,
And the
you
Canadians all
saw
had
that,
the white hat with the maple leaf on it, right? So you could really see the
yeah.
I loved
international
that.
presence at Beyond.
It was so cool, and it was great to just see even on everyone's name tag what country they're from, and just a quick way to know where they're coming from. And oh yeah, look at Rex
Yeah.
has got US on there. Exactly. It was really cool to meet partners from all over the world facing different challenges but coming together. And I know that everyone is getting very excited for another event happening in October, I believe, which is going to be Berlin Beyond. So let's take a quick look at that.
It's a great atmosphere and it's very cozy, despite the fact that there are 1,700 people around you.
This is where we show you the future. You guys want to see the future?
I'm really excited about bringing Beyond to Europe.
I think the most important element that sets PAX8 Beyond apart from other events is that we really place the MSP at the core of this event.
It's all about the business of an MSP, and it just shows that PAX8 really understand what partners need.
So Beyond really focuses on 3 pillars: our education, our innovation, and our community.
In Norway, we basically don't have any MSP community at all, so going to an event like this is super useful.
I think it's going to be a phenomenal opportunity for everybody in the MSP community.
And I think it's just going to be symbolic of PAX8 just expanding across the globe, but honoring the regions and what makes them unique.
I think what PAX8 are doing for the partners is just unbelievable.
You want a little more? Okay, because we're not done.
Wow, that video made me really excited. I wish I got to go to PAX8 Berlin, Berlin Beyond. It's going to be such a great time. And I know that there's going to be a lot of great content specifically for that region. So it'll be something, if you're in the EMEA region, you won't want to miss. But for now, we're going to move over to final thoughts.
Oh my gosh.
Rex, what do you think?
I don't know if everybody knows, but we're already starting the planning for Beyond 25, right? That's how much work went into making more happen. They're the channel team that went to work on planning it, right? Jen Bodell and Henry and Rob Ray, just making, Henry bringing this, just making it happen. The planning meetings and then just all the cross-departmental and every department in PAX8 wanting to put something together to enhance or improve something, the way we support partners and how it had to be announced at Beyond, right? And all the work that went into that. And now here we are post Beyond, and I feel like I'm busier than ever because of all the opportunity that was created at Beyond, but all the stuff that we put off until after Beyond is like landing on this week's calendar. All of that is worth it, right? Because we created that partner experience, and just looking forward to doing that again. I'd like to thank the Academy team that put so much work into making this an educational event, and it's paying off, right? We're seeing all the social media talking about how it's so refreshing to go to an event that's not a bunch of vendors pitching at us. It's education, and how PAX8 is proving that they're invested in helping our partners grow and mature. And just seeing that comment over and over and over on social, it is so inspiring and firing me up. Mm-hmm. Chris, what do you think?
And I think it goes back to, this is kind of that expression I've kind of carried a torch on, and I say all the time, but really about engagement, enablement, education. And that's really kind of what we're about. And to see that played out at Beyond was really, really powerful. And I'll tell you, I know last year being our first, we had this big push, and we said, we had over 1,000 partners. This year, I heard it was over 1,600. When I heard that, I'm like, okay, it's a bit bigger. That's fine. We hit our numbers and we grew. When I walked in and saw the room and all the people, it's like, wow, this really it grown substantially, and the energy was just that much more. So yeah, and the channel team and everybody behind it did such a phenomenal job of executing, planning, again, strategy and planning, and then executing on it. I thought it was phenomenal. Bessie?
Yeah, I was able to spend quite a bit of time at the vendor hall, expo hall. Chris and I were both at the Academy booth, Knowledge Cafe. It was a ton of fun talking to all our partners. But it was also really cool doing a little lap around and seeing that there are so many new vendors that are coming on the Pax8 line cart. And there were some vendors that aren't coming on yet that were even there that we got to meet and talk to and just have a pulse on what's coming up in the channel. What are these new opportunities to work with different vendors, to work with our partners, get to know them. And of course, I'm repping the Beyond staff shirt and just get to see all of my colleagues in person was such a treat. And I had such the best time. And I hope all of our partners and vendors did as well. So with that, I think we're going to start to wrap up and just want to say thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to check us out next week. Our guest will be Amanda Glidden. She'll be talking about Beyond. What's happening next? Talking about all the specific curated journeys that are spread over 69 channels in Academy, so our learning management system. They're organized in 6 different ways. It's all very exciting, and we can't wait to hear all about it. I'm sure she's also going to be chatting to us about the Results Selling Framework podcast, which there's a lot of buzz about Results Selling Framework, so we can't wait to talk about this new venture that we're getting into on podcasting. So lots to check out. You can check out those videos right now by going to our Academy channel and taking a look at that playlist. So if you're curious, take a look. Remember that we are live every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Mountain Time and on demand always. So don't forget to subscribe and like us on our YouTube channel. Rex, your final words?
Yeah, I just want to talk about going to a conference, right? It's expensive to send yourself or send a team member. And, there's always that risk. If we send somebody to training and we help develop them into a better leader, that they just might leave the company, right? And there's always this fear, do I send somebody to the conference and educate them up, or, but what if they leave? And I just want to leave everybody thinking about what happens if you don't train your employees and they stay. So with that in mind, think about what you're going to do differently tomorrow. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.